You're listening to Cancer Convos with Brady and Stacy. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Cancer Convos with Brady and Stacy, minus the Brady part. Brady is actually getting some tests, some scans, some other things done today. So I am here and I'm going to lead the charge. And I have a very special guest today. A longtime friend of mine. We have Phil McMahon is on with us today. Welcome, Phil.
Hello, how are we doing?
Good, good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. It's been a good day. The sun's shining and it's 54 degrees in February, so it's a good day.
Yeah, this isn't right. Something's going to happen.
Well, yeah, usually we paid the price last week and the week before that, so I think they're being nice now. But yeah, whenever it's nice here, you're always like, we know we're going to pay the price for it.
Yeah, we're like, what's going to happen tomorrow? That's the key. So I have Phil on with me, and I think this is going to be a great show because we usually talk about people that have gone through their cancer journeys, and Phil has gone through cancer journeys, but not of his own, of somebody that is very close to him, somebody he loves, his wife, and he lost her. And I think a lot of caregivers kind of get overlooked, but they go through some heavy shit too. And they don't want to reach out for help. So I think hopefully they're going to find some help with you today, Phil. So no pressure. But hopefully,
yeah, sure. No,
hopefully this conversation is going to be able to help some people. So
that's just it. Is like, if people are looking for like, this is the answer, this is how it goes, that's not it.
No.
Because, it's everything. It's what I've found is it's very unique, and everybody's kind of, how it goes.
Everybody's different. So, okay, so tell us a little bit about you and your story, Ginger, all that. Go ahead and just get into that.
Sure. My wife, Ginger Ann McMahon, her maiden name Ginger Rhodey, she was diagnosed with cancer. I'm trying to think of the exact date. It was August of 2016. It was a Tuesday that we got the news that she was, basically stage 4. She came home with the news, and yeah. So, and you can attest, once that word gets in your, like, once you hear the word and it's in your life, it's everywhere, and that's like, it dominates your life.
Here's the crazy thing, though. She was very young, wasn't she?
She was 34 when she was diagnosed, and she had been, and I never say, misdiagnosed or undiagnosed, but like her, she had a mesh tumor in her lower intestines, and they didn't find it until it had traveled up into her. It was, from her, clavicle to her pelvis was, a lot of cancer. But so they didn't find it. They did different biopsies, different stuff like that for about 18 months. And she was always just sick, kind of like that. And so, and then when she was diagnosed, it was already very, they considered her terminal, which we never used that term. But from kind of like right when they found it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, what made her go to the doctor first? What kind of symptoms did she have?
She had, sorry, gets a little.
I know, it's tough. I get it.
Yeah. She had gastrointestinal problems.
Yeah.
She had just different things go wrong with her, and she always she played a lot of softball, and she was always active as she was young, but she was always taking ibuprofen because she was in a lot of pain, and she had a lot of lower back pain, which they found out could have been part of the cancer and stuff like that. So there was nothing that kind of led into it. It was just like by the time they found it, she had just, like, her energy level was down and stuff like that.
Yeah. So now, how long had you guys been married when she found out?
We were married just 5 years, together for about 11 years.
Wow. That's crazy. So when she got the news, what was your reaction?
And I came, like, I worked in the medical field a little bit. My parents were both from the medical field. And so I was able to, I knew how to talk to the doctor. And so that kind of helped my journey as well, like knowing medical terminology beforehand and stuff like that. And so I wanted answers right away. And so I called my mom. Um, Walking through this is weird. Because you
I
think about
know.
it all the time. But
But you think about it in
yeah,
pieces. You don't have to
yep,
relive it all at
yeah.
one time.
And no,
Yeah.
this is good stuff though, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
always good to share it, I think.
Yeah.
But I called my
She'd be
mom.
happy that you're talking
Oh
about
yeah,
this and sharing it
yep,
with people. Yeah.
yep. I called my mom. She had worked as a medical technologist for a number of years, and she had worked, studied blood for a long time in her life, and so called her and pretty much showed her the blood panel, and she was just like, "Ooh, like
Oh, yeah.
this isn't good." Which it was like, be prepared for the worst, and that's what we were told. And it was, we knew it was stage 4, and it was just like, and then yeah, pretty much like right when they got home, it was Dr. Rulin, I think was her name, from Mid Dakota Clinic, and she had actually studied at Mayo Clinic or worked there, and so she like already like referred us there. So she was diagnosed, on a or like whether they prognosed, saying like you have cancer, didn't know exactly what, where,
Yeah.
but knew it was bad. On a Tuesday, and that Monday we were at Mayo Clinic.
Yeah.
So, and also knowing how quick that turnaround was, I was like, ugh, like
Yeah.
they didn't want to mess around. They didn't mess around with getting us like short term disability because of this, that, and the other. Which sign up for that right away. Do those things, like as far as like if you get diagnosed or something like that, sign up for all of these benefits and things as soon as you can.
Yeah.
And that's a rigmarole that, you know.
Yeah.
But and so we went to Mayo Clinic, and we thought we were gonna go there and just get, and I worked in hospitals, so I had this, like I know what I'm doing and all these things, and like I thought it was gonna be like, yep, you have this, but then we're gonna do this, and here's what's gonna go on.
Yeah.
And her name was Dr. Bonk, and I remember looking up because Mayo and most hospitals do now. This was in 2016, and they had a great patient portal,
Yep.
and
Yep.
looked up the entire itinerary. And oh, like Ginger used to, I would study the itinerary and know the doctors and the floors were going on. Anybody that's been to Mayo Clinic, it runs like a well-oiled machine. It's just very
Oh
impressive.
yeah. There is a man, they have it down.
Yep.
They know exactly what to do. Yeah.
It's great. So I mean, knowing that we were going there, I was like, this is great. Also,
Yeah.
it's bad that, whenever you
Yeah.
hear like somebody has to go to Mayo, you're like, uh-oh. But so it was Dr. Bonk, and I kind of looked up her credentials and stuff like that, and she studied at everywhere in the world, and I was like, this is gonna be good. She's great. And I remember thinking like, you should never talk to a patient again, but stay behind a microscope, do whatever you need to do, but don't
Yeah.
hear. It was like the driest, and
Yeah.
because it was pretty much, she was telling us, she was like reading off everything. And I understood some of it, but even like my medical jargon isn't up to her level, obviously. And I was like, okay, what? And Ginger kind of jokingly goes, "How long do I have?" And she goes, "A couple months, maybe a couple years. Your cancer's never been cured."
Oh. Yeah, stay behind the microscope. Don't
Yeah,
talk to
and
people.
then top that off, like we both lose it. And she goes, "I'll leave you guys be." Gets up and leaves the room. And Ginger's like, "Go get her." So I like yelled down the hall. I'm like, "Doc, we have questions. Like get back down here." And she's like, "I thought you guys
Yeah.
needed a minute." But yeah, so that was, that. And then it was like pretty much called her parents, my parents, like, "You guys need to get here."
Yeah.
No, we're not here, but like, this is serious. And so,
Yeah.
and her parents were already on the way. Mine were in Idaho. Um, couldn't really do much, but it was, from that moment on. And then Dr. Mahi Paul, he was our kind of chemo administered, and he was a great doctor. He was, kind of more homeopathic as well, and had just more like, "How are you doing?" Trying to, he's like, "We can
Yeah.
treat any symptom there is, but if this destroys everything, then what's the point?"
Yeah.
but she was on like oxaliplatin was the chemotherapy that she was on. It like took her fingernails away. She didn't lose her hair, but it was like, liquid bleach, as I called it.
Yeah.
And it was just, and it would suck. We were at the Mid Dakota clinic here to actually get the chemo administered for the first, like 9 months until we started going to Mayo every 3 weeks. But they had the chemo here and Mid Dakota when it was still open, the chemo room and everything.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and so we would go there and get it, and it would just suck dropping her off, or not
Yeah.
even dropping her off. But I mean, I would go with her. And the funny story, like the only time I missed one appointment ever, and I was so tired, and she would just sit in the chemo room. She's like, "You don't have to sit here. You don't have to sit here." And I was like,
Right. Yeah.
"I'm gonna sit here." And then she's like, "Go home and sleep because I'm not gonna sit here while you watch me sleep." I'm like, "Okay." So I ended up driving home, and I had like an alarm set and everything, and ended up falling asleep, sleeping through everything. She had her little chemo pack on and had to get a damn Uber home. And
No.
yes. And so the next time I go in with her, all the nurses are like, "Oh, we thought the cab driver was gonna walk her in." And I'm just like, "Don't." I'm like, "I am never." And she was like, "It was fun." Like we lived decently close to the clinic. We
Yeah.
lived over in Highland Day, so it was. But yeah, I was just like, "I'll never." I'm like, see, but um, but yeah. So
Oh.
yeah. So then we. Do you want me to keep going with kind
Yeah,
of
yeah. Go
that
ahead
story?
and go ahead and
And
talk about whatever you want to talk
yeah,
about.
so for like pretty much from the moment she was diagnosed, we started treatment like, let's go right now because it
Yeah.
was already really bad. And so she got this chemo that, kicked her butt, but she was always tough. She missed some work and she would take time off and stuff. And some people, would even say things like, "You don't look that sick," or,
Oh, I hate you don't look like you have cancer.
yeah.
Oh, I hate that.
We had
Yeah.
a we had a what I mean, this is neither here whatever, but yeah, an employer say, "How sick are you really?" Yeah. And I was
Oh.
like, "Well, this meeting's over."
Right, yeah.
But and but I always say too, like, you don't know until you know. You don't
It's
know
true.
until you are directly affected by it.
Yeah.
And so I guess, out of it you learn grace, you learn patience because you hurry up to wait around for any okay for this, that, or the other, or when an appointment gets behind schedule, or if the whole day is running behind schedule in a hospital, you can be there for, or like if you have to do with ERs. Um, but sorry, let me stay on
No, it's fine.
that. Yeah.
So as a caregiver, I feel like I mean, and honestly, as a patient, I had a ton of support. Like people,
Yep.
like you reached out, your brother reached out, like everybody that I had in my life, even people I didn't know very well in the
Yep.
community, reached out and were like, what can I get you? Can I drop off a meal? Can I help you with something? Can I like the amount of support that I felt was absolutely amazing. And I feel like as a caregiver, you are not given that same support, but you are definitely going through some shit. So
Yeah.
how did you handle it?
Um, as much
I know. Take your time. Take your time,
yeah,
Phil. It's okay.
as much as I mean, you I wasn't worried about myself like
Yeah.
that much. I knew I was okay, and like after she was diagnosed, I went in and got the full panel of everything, and of course me, I was pretty dang healthy even for eating like complete garbage and doing what I do. They're just like, why don't but and so I was like, I know I'm good to go. And so of course,
Yeah.
I lost sleep, and it's a whole team effort. I mean, all of my friends and family that helped, we all felt it. But I guess I didn't I don't remember feeling like kind of like, hey, because like as I said, she wasn't that sick. Like
Yeah.
and like she like and I say that being, she put on a good face, and there were times where, obviously days on end she would sleep. And I say that because, she wouldn't leave the house for a long time while she was under treatment and stuff like that. But I guess, she wasn't in hospice care for a while. I didn't have to.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I was a caregiver in like the whole mental, emotional, all of that sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that sucks. Like, because it's like you try to pour as much of your, you know, like, what can I do to help?
Right.
And I was always like still am like an overactive person. So it's like, even like this, the survivor's guilt that comes along, where it's like this shoulda, woulda, coulda, like, because as I said, and looking back, there's like, oh, I don't know, this is family medical stuff, so I can't just. But there was like stuff
Yeah.
that you can look back on and be like, oh, and you can connect these dots or something like that. That
Yeah.
you can always find these, like, oh,
Yeah.
I should have seen that, or why didn't they see this? And there's so many, like I said, like, what could have done this earlier? Why didn't they test this one cancer marker that goes in blood and that kind of, it's like, it
Yeah.
is what it
Hindsight's
is.
always 2020.
Oh, heck yeah. And so
Yeah.
you can't allow that to, I mean, it's still going to, but you can't let it all the time. But
So
yeah.
now, how long was her fight? It seemed like it was quite a while. She lasted quite a while.
No, it was from like, and that was the thing too, is Dr. Bonk was damn near spot on, because like, from her diagnosis in August of 2016, she passed away September 20th of 18. So it
Couple
was
years,
just
yeah.
over 2 years. I was like, that bitch, but like, I mean, obviously she's good at what she does. But
Yeah.
have somebody else tell us. And we had like, I still have, and I've gotten rid of things, along the years. Like, I, got rid of my storage unit finally, and it was a lot of throwing things away, and that was kind of tough too, because it's like, what do you do with some of these things? Because after a
Yeah.
while, they're just things. And but and so that's like, as you and so yeah, she passed away. It was, we started going to Mayo every 3 weeks because she started doing immunotherapy, Keytruda, and that was before Keytruda was a thing. She was in the clinical
Mm-hmm.
trial for it, and I always say she would, they liked her as a patient because she was so young with this rare cancer. And
Yeah.
so, like, it usually was prevalent in Middle Eastern men over the age of 60.
Oh my
And
God.
she has some Lebanese in her blood, and so
Yeah.
I was like trying to I was trying to go down that rabbit hole. But and so but she was very young and female, and so they were like, great. And like, not that they I don't think they used her, but I mean, because they were like, do you want to try this, and do you want to try this? And so yeah, Keytruda. But soon after she started, that is when problems really started happening, because the chemo killed the cancer, but it got
Yep.
her down. But then, just like anything, you can only stay on this stuff for so long.
Yep.
And then so they stopped that, and it came back, with with a force. And then so it's like, okay. And then, there was different doctors saying different things and different opinions of whatever. And we did was a proton laser therapy to try to kill some of the spots in her lungs. But then when she got on the Keytruda, they they don't know if it worked too well or didn't work at all, because it may have caused her immune system to just fire on all
Mm,
cylinders, because there was so
yeah.
much of this that it just inflamed everything.
Yeah.
And so she ended up like, even, for so long, like, well, my wife, I'm remarried now to an
Yep.
amazing woman, Heather McMahon. We got married this summer. You were there.
I was there.
Yeah, but
Congratulations.
but you'll attest to it. Earlier this winter, she she had a cough, just like everybody does. But my wife had a cough for so, and I was just like, and finally after like 48 hours, I was like, kind of having this PTSD. I'm like, hey, if your cough isn't over tomorrow, you're going in, you're getting tested.
Yeah.
She's like, they're gonna tell me the same thing, and I'm like, and in my head, I knew that, but
You're like, okay, but that's fine. Let's let
yeah,
them tell you.
yeah. But
Yeah.
I'm just like, and so, but yeah, whenever I would like, hear somebody like cough, I'm just like, oh, but so she got sick in the last. And we ended up staying 11 days at Mayo, whether in like admitted, going up and down, and her O2 saturations would drop down into the 60s, just because her lungs just
Yeah.
were shutting. They just were getting overtaken, and so her body was just got tired. And even
Yeah.
like like I said, hindsight's 2020, but like the last couple of days. She started like cleaning everything around her with alcohol swabs, and like and I think her oxygen was very low too. Even though she was on oxygen, she just wasn't getting enough of it. And I think her body was just telling her, I don't know. But
Yeah.
but yeah, she just started like cleaning everything around and just being like really just docile. Just it was, looking, and that's me just like, oh, was that? But then even like because my mom ended up flying in like after she knew it was like
Yeah.
like pretty bad, like she's coding and like you need to get here like
Yeah.
now. Um, and there's even things that my mom and my aunt and stuff will tell me that I don't remember that they swear happened, but I swear, I'm just like, but just, and that's what I guess, they call trauma brain as well,
Yeah.
where it
Yeah. You're
just,
going to try to block out the things that are absolutely painful for you, as
yeah.
much of it as you can.
No,
Yeah, for sure.
and that's what's weird. That's like not weird, but like I can kind of like all the different cliches about like grief and trauma and stuff like that. A lot of them are true. You know, the
Hmm.
reason they say these things. Well, I can listen to one song one day and it's the best song ever, and I can listen to that same song the next day and be like, turn that one off. Just because it's whatever mindset you're in.
Yeah.
So
100%. I had a playlist that I used to play when I was the person. I didn't want anyone to go to chemo with me. They
sure.
have to the first time you go through it because they want to make sure they know if you're having any reaction to it. And the only people that are going to really know that are the people that know you. So they want somebody with you for that first time to see if you're having a reaction. Otherwise, I kind of just went there and I just use it as a time to nap and relax and reflect and pray
Yeah.
about it and to just kind of like just really be in the moment. And I had a cancer playlist. Like I had an inspirational playlist that I would put on as I was like falling asleep, as I was napping. Some days those songs are like making me so happy. Some
Yeah.
days those songs make me like, nope, 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 not today. Not
Yeah.
today, Satan. I can't do this today.
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally get. So have you done any therapy? Did you go to therapy after?
Yeah, it was I reached out to my just kind of family practice doctor, and this was cuz she passed away in September of 2018. And
Yeah.
then, you think all of the like all like and looking back and see like because I'm 6.5 years, almost 7 years into my since she passed away,
Yeah.
and so I was just dreading these firsts, and like the first Christmas, Thanksgiving, all of these things that were going to pass.
Yeah.
But looking back on those, and I think I was just really in shock. But I mean, they were all right. But I mean, but also you have so many people reaching out and so many people that remember, and even you know, and then after like the second, third, fourth year, people think it just goes away. And it
Yeah.
was like, the first year was all right, but it was February that I reached out to the doctor and I was like, hey, I think I want to kind of look for some help. And so I just made an appointment with her right away, and she's like, "What are you kind of looking for?" And so I met with a couple. I did a couple of not a couple of like many different therapies. I did like one where you walked into a church and it was a bunch of metal chairs and shitty coffee, and I was like, "This is not it," I'm just like, "Sit down here." I'm like, "No." And
Yeah.
I was just like, hi Phil, or like be like,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but then I went to like group sessions, kind of like led by people. The best one I ever got was she was a licensed, she wasn't a psychiatrist. I'm not gonna, but I mean, she was here in town and she was great. She was around my age, I think. And so basically, I just talked shit, just spilled my
Yeah.
everything, just said everything about anything, about like what I was mad at, what I was happy with, just everything that you want to say. Like, I mean, mom, I love you, but whether my mom was making me, just whatever. But I mean, just,
Yeah.
and so that was kind of the easiest, where it was just like a vent session. Because I don't know, like I'm not a very religious person. I never really have been, so I know a lot of people have leaned a lot into faith, and that's more power to them. That's great. And I did. I went to, people invited me, like, do you want to come to church with us? I was like, sure. And so I went with
Hmm.
a couple of different people to different places, and and some of them were and like just to yeah, some of them, like the sermon or whatever was good, and it all and I did all like, I didn't do anything too intense. I tried a few different medications. I didn't think any were for me. I never tried anything more than like 6 weeks, I don't think, because some of them, like these, like some dreams I would have were just next level, like
Yeah.
not wanting in my life,
Yeah.
where I was like, I'm not that person to have those type. So,
Yeah.
or like just like they would give you like a drug hangover for like, like you'd feel just more lethargic, and I would rather feel the feels than not feel them. And
Yeah.
so I just tried to just navigate that. But I don't know what worked, and I think what mainly does is just time, and that's the worst thing that anybody ever wants to hear, and that's what I hate
Yeah.
saying. But I'm just like, it just takes time, but you have to. And I remember I was talking to a gentleman, and I was like, and I was down for a couple of years, and I still have down days, and like even like I'm crying through some of this. I'm still like, I'm going to cornhole tonight, and it's a great day. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not
Yep.
sad
Yep.
at all, but just like going through this, you're just like, oh, and like you digest the feelings again. But he was, I was like, I was, and a lot of my, sadness comes out in different ways of anger, or, just pulling away, withdrawing, whatever it is. You're depressed. You don't want to be around people. You don't want to drip your sadness on the world. And so you just try to not spread it around. But, I was like apologizing to this guy. I'm like, sorry, I was down for, he's like, hey, he's like, you got to put in the time. You
Yep.
have to, you have to put in the time. And you have to you know, figure out. And like, I remember my brother Jimmy, I love you, but one day he was just like, dude, I think you just got to get over it. And that's not what he meant. Because,
I
because even
know.
like, I didn't
Yeah.
talk to him. I didn't talk to him. I talked to him almost every day. And like, I
Yeah.
didn't talk to him for like 3 or 4 days. And he reached out. He's like, what's up? I'm like, nothing. I'm like, just so you know, never tell somebody who's grieving or whatever, like, to get over it. He's like, well, that's not what I
Yeah.
meant. I'm like, I know that's not what you meant. And like, but it was
You're
just
like, but
like, it's
that's what
like,
I heard and that's what I felt.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, it was just like, so I mean, it's not something you get over, it's something you get through and you work
Yeah.
through. And yeah, it's like, and it's at the end you have to, and I also say, like, you're not a product of your circumstance, you're a product of your reaction to your circumstance. You
Yeah.
know,
100%.
and also you realize that once cancer's, and you every commercial seems to have cancer in it, every billboard, and then you realize how many other people, whether it's you, your spouse, your brother, sister, whoever, has to go
Yeah.
through this shit. And then you just, it kind of, you learn grace. You're just like, yeah, you get it, and it sucks. And it's prevalent. And yeah.
But now I know you're in a super happy place right now, but was it
Yeah.
hard to move on? Did you feel like you should be stuck? Or like how hard was it for
Oh
you to move
yeah.
on and to build this new life now?
And that's where, like, the survive on my wedding day, I had
Yeah.
like like, Ginger's parents were, her mom and stepdad were at my wedding. I still talk to her dad. So I mean, they want me nothing but happy. And so
Yeah, of
I'm
course.
actually
Yeah.
I'm playing cornhole tonight, and I play with her brother in this league. So um it's amazing to still have that bond and everything, and we still share that. But on even the wedding day, I like reached out. I'm like, is this okay? Like,
Yeah.
am I doing anybody wrong? And so, but I know I'm not. And it's like
No.
it's I and like it's and I,
It
as I
had
say,
been
like I
6
don't
years, Phil.
like.
It's not like it was 6 weeks. It had been
Well,
like
yeah,
6 years.
yeah,
It's
and
not
so
like
and
you
it's like
didn't give it a proper grieving
and
time.
and it's like I love her, and I'll always love her, and that's like people are
Yeah.
like when I'm like, oh my, I'm like, it's not, she'll never be my ex-wife.
Yeah.
She'll always be, she's not my other wife, but she's, and Heather is so amazing. She loves that, and she likes to hear stories and stuff
Mhm.
like that, and but it's yeah, you have to, what was I, it's it's okay to keep going.
Yeah. In fact, you need to.
Yeah.
You can't be stuck in it forever.
No.
You didn't both die. She died, and that
Yeah.
sucks. But I don't think she would want you to have died that day as well.
No, and you have to, and I, you know, grieved her, and oh, where I was gonna get is like I still I'm never gonna not love her, and I still I miss her, and I miss all of these, but all of these memories that I have with her, and I
Yeah.
miss that part of it, and I miss her, but that part of my heart is full again.
Yeah.
So I miss that whole everything about that, but it's like I'm so happy again, and I'm happy to be happy,
Yeah.
and I'm happy for the memories, and I'm happy for everything. And even with she passed away at the Mayo Clinic, surrounded by some of the best doctors in the world. So she had the best treatment. I don't have any regrets on stuff like that. We attacked it the way we wanted to. She lived the
Yeah.
way she wanted to. She played softball. It was and I remember the look she had on her face, because she wasn't supposed to play. She's like, "Nope, I'm just there to they need a person, or else they have to forfeit. But I'm not gonna play." And I'm like, "Okay." And so she went there. I showed up there, and here she is standing on base with her grin. And I'm just like, "This is bullshit." And her whole team's like, "She wouldn't take no for an answer." And I'm like, "Yeah,
Right?
I get it." And yeah, but that was 3 weeks before she passed away. And
Yeah.
so just she lived how she wanted to live. So it's you know in my heart of hearts and in my mind, I know there's nothing to regret, or to the shoulda woulda couldas, but you still kind of have those, the guilt, but
Yeah.
yeah, you have to find someone who allows you to still have that, in your life, her birthday is always going to be weird.
Yeah.
It's never gonna be, well, even when we got married, our anniversary was my anniversary to Ginger was 7/13 of 13, and that was a Saturday this past year, and Heather's like, "Oh, what about July 13th?" I'm like, "Can't do that one."
Yeah.
like I'm like, it's
No.
not gonna share it, and that's not right to either of them.
Yeah.
And it's just and but yeah, and you have to allow yourself time to, and don't tell anybody to when it is time, I guess. Don't let anybody force you to move past a point you're not ready to in your grief journey. If you want to, I held on to certain, there was this, I had a whole home full of our
Yeah.
things, and it took me a very long time to slowly feel okay getting rid of certain things, and I still had, and now I'm down to a little tote. And so,
Yeah.
and even some of my clothes from back in the day, I'm like, I'm never gonna wear this, but I wanted it for whatever reason. But I'm like, if I would have gotten rid of them too soon, it would have been bad. I would have been like, oh, why did I do that? And you just have to you have to give it time, but you have to, I mean, also don't be, and I'm a very stubborn person, but I mean, and it took me a little while to like, even, my mom and other family and friends, like, dude, like, you need to, like, and maybe it does take somebody to kind of kick you in the butt, and just say,
Yeah.
but get help if you need help. And I did, and I tried to do different things. And I don't know what worked, but I know just trying to make the effort. You got to put the time in.
Yeah, I think the key is just trying to get over it, trying to like find ways to feel better and not
Yep.
just push. I think the more you push it down, the harder it's going to be. The longer it's going to take if you're not trying to process it.
Yeah.
So,
And after the first year, um, you're like, okay, I'm glad that's over with.
yeah. Yeah.
Like, okay, got through those. And then, you're kind of in this like I call it this false glow that I was in, like just thinking I had worked the things out that I just really hadn't, that I just kind of pushed down.
Yeah.
And you just, and as they start, you know, you realize it when it just affects your everyday attitude and everything. And even while my wife, and I mean, I'll say this because she told, but like, she's like, the first time I ever met you and saw you, she's like, I thought you had really sad eyes. And then
Oh,
she asked the girl she was with, she's like, why does,
what's his deal?
well,
Yeah.
I think obviously she was like, hey, he's good looking. But like, but why does he have the saddest eyes? And she's like, oh, well, his wife passed away. And this was I don't know, months or a year or so afterwards. And I was like, oh man, did I have the, like, and yeah, it just kind of wears on you until you let it kind of dissipate. And it's not going to be a you wake up like I thought, like, oh, after year one, glad that was over with. It's a gradual
Yep.
process.
Yeah.
And every like, and also with like any the cancer journey as far as a patient, like whatever you as a patient or you as your family decide you want to do as your treatment or whatever, I support that. It's
Yep.
like
Right.
whatever, like to each their own, and like good. You have all my positive energy coming your way. And because we had different people like, oh, do this or do that or take this, or oh, you have her on chemo, you're killing your wife, or and everybody's an expert, and
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so do
Yeah.
this. So it's, yeah.
With whether you're the patient or you're the caregiver or you're not even been affected by cancer, you just have to do what's best for your life.
Yeah. Yeah. With
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
but yeah, it is, it's and you realize like at the worst part is like at some point, whether it's in everybody's life, it's going to affect you very, very directly,
Yeah.
whether it's you personally or someone like you'll be a caregiver for, or it's so I'm sorry for when that ever happens, but it's you know there's yeah, I don't, that's the thing, is I don't have any like profound advice, I don't think, but it's just, it sucks, and you have to.
Yeah. You just have to get through it.
Yeah.
I know the hashtag fuck cancer pretty much just sums it all up.
Yeah, it is. And I like it sucks. And
It sucks.
everybody would say and people were now that I think of it, people would always reach out and be like, do I need anything? Like, you're so strong and tell me that. And so
Yeah,
that
yeah,
felt
yeah.
great. And there was always like palliative care teams like helping out, and like, if I needed anything. And so I mean I think it's really gotten better. Um
Oh yeah, for sure. For
as far
sure.
as like, like the caregiver advocacy and trying to help with that, because, I think nurses and doctors and hospitals realize it only goes so far. So the better patient advocate, that somebody has with them and for them, the better it goes. Because that's what helped me, is that the doctor could give me a lot of the medical jargon, and and it was easier, but and by the end of it, we were both really good at reading blood panels and both real good at, just knowing different things like that. And you become your own little kind of self expert. But really, I mean, patients know how they feel and stuff, and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, I know for people, if they're in the listening in the Bismarck Mandan area, the Bismarck Cancer Center now they just recently started up a support group that of a team of people for caregivers to support caregivers,
sure.
people that has a loved one going through their cancer journey too, because I
And
think
just,
it can be draining. You
yeah.
yeah, you're up late, you're losing sleep, you're going through a lot of mental and physical exhaustion as well. It's tough.
Yeah. And yeah, you're trying your best to, do your best. And then there's like the guilt that kind of comes along with it where, the yeah, and I never consider myself like a cancer survivor or a warrior or anything because I never felt like those sicknesses and just you know, but I mean, you seeing a loved one go through it. It's tough.
Yeah.
You know, It's
Here's
yeah,
what
as you said,
I
it's draining.
here's what I hate is when they say cancer warrior or somebody lost their battle, it almost puts it on that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yep,
it puts it on the person that had cancer. Like I wasn't just so strong and like so that I beat cancer. Like I didn't beat cancer because like I'm incredibly strong or I have a superpower or I
yep,
had more fight than somebody else. I just got really lucky to have a good care team.
yeah,
And
and
so
she,
so when she lost her battle, it just sucks because I look at like me and then I look at her and Ginger was just as strong if
yeah.
not probably stronger than I am. She just had a shitty hand, shitty luck at cancer. You
Well,
know what I
she
mean?
just
Like it didn't make her, she didn't lose the battle. You know what I mean?
No,
It's
she got a
just
bad one. She
she
got she got
yeah,
a cancer that still to this day, as far as I know, mucinous adenocarcinoma of the small
yeah.
intestine has still never been cured, as
No.
far as it goes. And so even, but like that's what they were saying. They're like, we can't we are not going to cure it yet, but you're going to give you a good quality of life while sustaining it, is,
Yeah.
as they put it and stuff. But yeah, you have to. I mean, as like, but the palliative care team, and like even like have not the palliative care team, but like having the caregiver like assets and stuff like that, and just knowing that people care. And like I ended up joining a couple of different like patient advocacy boards, and that actually maybe helped. That was maybe more therapy to me than anything.
Yeah.
Doing that, actually, my best therapy was the gym and running. I mean, but I always kind of enjoyed that stuff. But doing that and music therapy and stuff like that but whatever you love, dive into that, and
Yeah.
that'll help you a lot. But I keep going off on tangents. I'm sorry, but yeah.
Well, is there anything else you want to tell people, Phil, before we're done today?
No, sorry, I kind of rambled, and I figured, but yeah, I mean,
No,
and like I always have
this is what this show is about.
yeah,
It's
I always
okay.
have a
Yeah.
kind of a roadmap, and the shower thoughts. You're like, gonna bring this up, gonna bring this up, and I guarantee I'm gonna be thinking about what I didn't. But no, everybody's battle is unique. Everybody's battle is super personal, and everybody's choices are really personal. And just support people, just be positive. And that's the thing, is like certain cancers aren't curable, but there's always more answers, more things, more stuff out there. And so it's just positivity is always a good start. And just be an advocate. And yeah, if anybody around you ever, and people that are going through for a prolonged time, it's not just right away they need help and support. They need it for a prolonged time. um
Yeah.
it doesn't just start and stop sometimes. And so, but no, I don't want, I mean, it's hopefully no one has to deal with this bullshit. And yeah, fuck cancer.
Fuck
And it's,
cancer. Hashtag fuck cancer. Yeah, it just sucks. Well, thanks for being on with us today, Phil.
yeah, appreciate it.
All right, and I'm sure I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, sounds good, Stacey. Talk to you later.
All right, thanks everybody. Cancer Convo is brought to you by the Bismarck Cancer Center and Chelsea Smith Cosmetics. Have a great day.